it's Medium Jenny Lee. I'm here with the Raw Contact Volume 2. This is going to be the third video of this series. It is the second session of this book, and the session number is 58. So session 58 is recorded on June 16th of 1981. And off we go. Dawn is always concerned about Carla's condition, otherwise known as the instrument. I find it funny that Dawn ends up calling her the instrument too, because that's what Raw calls her. The further along that these sessions go, the more that Dawn, who is the questioner, starts talking like Raw, who is coming through the channeler, which is Carla, otherwise, aka the instrument. So Dawn wants to know, how is Carla doing? What's the instrument's condition? Raw says, the condition is as previously noted, except the physical distortions mentioned are somewhat increased. So she's having more pain in her wrist. Dawn asks, could you tell me the cause of the increase of the physical distortion? See what I mean? Dawn just starts talking like Raw. He just it's just what happens. All right. So Raw says, physical distortions of this nature are begun, as we have said, due to the overactivity of weak, as you call this distortion, portions of the body complex. The worsening is due to the nature of the distortion itself, which you call arthritis. Dang. Once begun, the distortion will unpredictably remain and unpredictably worsen or lessen. Distortion of arthritis. Yikes. We have tried healing, this is Dawn talking. We have tried healing with a diamond crystal, which in the last session, Raw suggested that they use a diamond ring that she was wearing. I have tried both using the crystal around my neck and dangling it from a chain under my right hand. I think that possibly that to do the best work on the wrist, I should dangle the crystal just below my right hand from a distance of just a centimeter or two, holding it directly above the wrist. Is this correct? Ross says this would be appropriate if you were practiced at your healing art. Oh, yikes. To work with a powerful crystal such as you have, while unable to perceive the magnetic flux of the subtle bodies, it is perhaps the same as recommending that the beginner with saw and nail create the Vatican. Good Lord, Raw. That was very rude. Raw just compared Dawn's healing attempt to someone who doesn't know how to make things, trying to make the Vatican. Whew. Okay. There is great art in the use of the swung crystal. At this point in your development, you would do well to work with the unpowerful crystals and ascertaining not only the physical major energy centers, but also the physical secondary and tertiary energy centers, and then begin to find the corresponding subtle body energy centers. In this way, you may activate your own inner vision. Huh? So Ross talking about using the crystal as like a pendulum and working with lesser crystals through the major energy centers, which would be the chakras. But then there's also secondary and tertiary physical energy centers. Finding the corresponding subtle body energy centers. There's a lot of frickin' energy centers. And then Dawn can start to understand it. That's Raw's suggestion. Okay. What type of crystal should be used for that? Excellent question, Dawn. You may use any dangling weight of symmetrical form, for your purpose is not to distribute or manipulate these energy centers, but merely to locate them and become aware of what they feel like when in a balanced state and when in an unbalanced or blocked state. So just figuring out where the energy centers are using a crystal as a pendulum. Am I correct in assuming that what I would do would be to dangle a weight approximately 2 feet below my hand and place it over the body, and when the weight starts moving in a clockwise rotational direction, it would indicate an unblocked energy center? Is this correct? The measurement of your hand to weight is unimportant and at your discretion. So it doesn't matter how far away the pendulum is, the crystal is, just up to you. The circular motion shows an unblocked energy center. However, some entities are polarized the reverse of others, and therefore it is well to test the form of normal energy spirals before beginning the procedure. How would you test? A test is done by first holding the weight over your own hand and observing your particular configuration, then using the other self's hand and repeat the procedure. So you're trying to figure out which way does the pendulum, the crystal pendulum, swing around in a circular fashion. Is it clockwise or counterclockwise? Now, in the case of the instrument, we are concerned with the healing of the wrists and hands. Would I then test the energy center of the instrument's hand and wrist area? Is this correct? We have given you general information regarding this form of healing and have explicated the instrument's condition. Why do you keep asking the same questions, Don? There's a line beyond which for information is an intrusion upon the law of confusion, otherwise known as the law of free will. Isn't that so much fun that the law of free will gets called the law of confusion? Doesn't that just make you so happy? Thanks. And Dawn is so confused that there's an 82-second pause before Dawn can think of the next question to ask. I just imagine Don sitting in his chair in the corner of the room and either being like slightly disgruntled and or confused. So now Don asks the next question. I would like to trace the energy patterns and what is actually happening with these patterns and flow of energy in a couple of instances. I will first take the pyramid shape and trace the energy that is focused somehow by this shape. I will make a statement and let you correct it. I think that the pyramid can be in any orientation and provide some focusing of spiraling energy, but the greatest focusing occurs when one side of it is precisely parallel to magnetic north. Is that correct? This is substantially correct, with one addition. If one corner is oriented to magnetic north, the energy will be enhanced in its focus also. So not just the side of the pyramid shape, but the corner as well. Do you mean that if I drew a line through two opposite corners of the pyramid at the base and aimed it at magnetic north, that would be precisely 45 degrees out of the orientation of one side aimed at magnetic north? It would work just as well. Is that what you're saying? It would work much better than if the pyramid shape were quite unaligned. It would not work quite as effectively as the aforementioned configuration. So the alignment to magnetic north, apparently, is important if you're using a pyramid shape as a healing component. With a pyramid shape just as well right side up as upside down with respect to the surface of the earth, assuming the magnetic alignment was the same in both cases. We do not penetrate your query. In other words, we don't understand your question. The reversed shape of the pyramid reverses the effects of the pyramid. Further, it is difficult to build such a structure pointed down. Perhaps we have misinterpreted your query. So Ra is imagining that Don's trying to build a pyramid point side down. That would be real difficult. That would be real difficult. But Don's talking about the smaller pyramid shapes. Like we looked at one of these the other day when we did the last session. You know, like this isn't a hollow pyramid, but it's still a pyramid shape that's small. So Don's just asking, does it work the same if you place that kind of shape upside down as you do right side up? And Ra's saying, no, it doesn't, because the spiraling energy goes from the bottom of the pyramid up to the top. But also imagining it being built upside down is pretty hilarious. I used this question only to understand the way a pyramid focuses light, not for the purpose of using one. I was just saying, if we did build a pyramid point down, would it focus on the Queen's chamber position or just below it the same way as it would if it were a point up? It would only work thusly if an entity's polarity were, for some reason, reversed. Then the lines of spiraling light energy, do they originate from the position toward the center of the Earth and radiate outward from that point? A pyramid shape is a collector which draws the in-streaming energy from what you term the bottom or base and allows this energy to spiral upward and align with the apex of this shape. This is also true if a pyramid shape is upended. The energy is not earth energy, as we understand your question, but is light energy, which is omnipresent. Important little tidbit there, because the energy is not coming up from the earth itself. The energy is light energy, which is everywhere. Everywhere, and makes up everything. Does it matter if the pyramid is solid, or is it made of 4 thin sides, or is it this different? Is there a difference in between those two makes? Good question, because we were just talking about, does it have to be hollow or not? As an energy collector, the shape itself is the only requirement. From the standpoint of the practical needs of your body complexes, if one is to house oneself in such a shape, it is well that this shape be solid-sided in order to avoid being inundated by outer stimuli. So if it's big enough to get inside of, then the sides should be solid so that other things are not intruding in the space. Then if I just used a wire frame that were 4 points of wire and joined at the apex running down to the base, and the pyramid were totally open, this would do the same thing to the spiraling light energy. Is this correct? The concept of the frame as equal to the solid form is correct. However, there are many metals not recommended for use in pyramid-shaped designs to aid the meditative process. Those that are recommended are, in your system of barter, what you call expensive. The wood or other natural materials, or the man-made plastic rods, would be of service. So remember, in the last session, here Ra is stating again that there's certain base metals that are not good for using in pyramid construction. But apparently the expensive metals, on the other hand, is okay. Why is the spiraling light focused by something as open and simple as 4 wooden rods joined at an apex angle? Okay, I starred this. It's been a while since I read it. Let's see what it says. If you pictured light in the metaphysical sense as water and the pyramid shape as a funnel, this concept might become self-evident. Boom. Okay, so the triangular shape, the pyramid shape, is acting as a funnel to condense the light energy, of which is everywhere at all times, into a more refined, condensed, spiraling stream, like a funnel. You know, you've got to pour oil into the oil tank of your car, and if you just try to pour it straight from the container, it goes all over the place. But if you use a funnel, it will go exactly where you want it to go, in a much neater and precise fashion. I can see how a solid-sided pyramid would act as a funnel. It seems to me that using just the 4 rods joined at the apex angle would be less efficient. Can you tell me how they are equivalent to the solid-sided pyramid? They are unequal in space-time, and we recommend for practical use the solid-sided pyramid or other focusing shape in order to give your physical bodily complexes respite from outside noise, rain, and other distractions to meditation. So yeah, if you're going to be going inside of a shape to meditate or heal, the less distractions, the better. However, in time-space, one is concerned with the electromagnetic field produced by the shape. An equivalent field is produced by the solid and the open shape. Light is influenced metaphysically by this field rather than by visible shapes. Let's read that again because I underlined it. Light is influenced metaphysically by this field rather than by visible shapes. So, yeah. We spent all this time talking about visible shapes, and then Ra's talking about the lights being metaphysically altered, not necessarily physically, you know. Okay. Thank you. That explains it nicely. I apologize for asking so many stupid questions. They're not stupid, done. But I am really functioning here with very little knowledge. I do not wish to get into the subject matter of no importance, and I've assumed the questions about the pyramid were desired by you due to the fact that some danger was involved to some who had misused the pyramid. Yes, they do talk about that a lot in the previous session, about the pyramid being misused. I'm trying to understand the way light works and trying to get a grasp of how everything works together, and I'm hoping that questions in this area of the pyramid would help me understand the third distortion, I'll say, which is light. Now, as I understand it, the pyramid shape acts as a funnel, and in this way increasing the density of energy so that the individual may have a greater intensity of actually the third distortion. Is that correct? Remember, he said the third distortion was light. Ross says this is correct. In general, this is correct. Then the pure crystalline shape, such as a diamond you mentioned as being frozen light, it seems that this third density physical manifestation of light is somehow a window or focusing mechanism for the third distortion in the general sense. Is that correct? It's basically correct. However, it may be noted that only the will of the crystallized entity may cause interdimensional light to flow through this material. The more regularized the entity and the more regularized the crystal, the more profound the effect. So crystals, yes, are going to be functional at using light flowing through it. But and remember when Ra's talking about a crystallized entity, he's talking about the healer being a crystallized entity. And the more regularized the actual physical crystal is, the better off both of those things are going to be. Because remember, Ra did say that Dawn was like a novice trying to make the Vatican. Poor Dawn. There are many people who are now bending metal. I don't know why this was such a big deal. In like the 60s and 70s, like some dudes like bending spoons and crap, and like they get so caught up in it. I'm like, I don't get it. The bending spoon thing. I like, who gives a shit? But it was a big deal apparently in like 60s, 70s. So Dawn wants to know about the damn bending the spoons. There are many people who are now bending metal. Did you see my eye roll? Okay. Doing other things like that by mentally requesting this happen. What is happening in that case? Can you explain what's happening there? That which occurs in this instant may be likened to the influence of the second spiral of light in the pyramid being used by an entity. As the second spiral ends at the apex, the light may be likened unto a laser beam in the metaphysical sense, and when intellectually directed, may cause bending, not only in the pyramid, but this is the type of energy which is tapped into by those capable of focusing of the upward spiraling light. This is made possible through contact in indigo ray with intelligent infinity. or intelligent energy, pardon me. So then Ra makes it sound way cooler than I was thinking that it was. Because Ra's talking about them using light as a way to manipulate the material. That's pretty interesting. But I wonder if the people that were bending the spoons actually realized that's what they were doing. My guess is no. And this last part is interesting because it says this is made possible through contact with the indigo ray with intelligent energy. And the indigo ray is your third eye chakra. So think about that for a second. Why are these people able to do this? They seem to have no training and they're just able to do it. So fascinated with the bending spoons. They remember the disciplines necessary for this activity, which is merely useful upon other true color vibratory experiential nexi. Huh? I don't know what that sentence means. They're remembering something that they've done before in the past, which has to do with color vibrations. Is the best I can do with that sentence. Then you're saying that this wouldn't be useful in our present density. I mean, yeah, bending metal could definitely be useful, but just bending a spoon as a parlor trick at a restaurant, whoop-de-doo. Would it be useful in the fourth density on this planet in the very near future? The end of such energy focusing is to build, not to destroy. Let's repeat that because it bears repeating. The end of such energy focusing is to build, not to destroy. Not to destroy the spoons. The spoon is useless after you've bent the hell out of it. But instead, why don't you use this power to do something beneficial? And it does not become quite useful as, shall we say, an alternative to third density building methods. So, and it does become, I think I said it does not. It does. It does become quite useful as an alternative to third density building methods. Okay, so yeah. Why didn't the spoon benders use their metal bending skills to create something and do something useful with it? They're just bending spoons. Now, I don't know if any of them actually did. Was there a spoon bender that actually made something with the spoons, with the metal bending skills? Let me know if you know. Dawn's next question is it also used for healing? Ross says no. Is there any advantage in attempting to develop these characteristics or being able to bend metal? What I'm trying to say is that are these characteristics a signpost of the development of an entity, or are they something else? For instance, as an entity develops through his indigo, would a signpost for his development be this bending? So Dawn wants to know if this is something that you're supposed to be aspiring to through your leveling up. Let us specify the 3 spirals of light energy, which the pyramid exemplifies. Firstly, the fundamental spiral, which is used for study and for healing. Second, the spiral to the apex, which is used for building. Third, the spiral spreading from the apex, which is used for energizing. There we go. So we get a little bit more clarity on what the different parts of the spiraling light through the pyramid shape are used for. So the bottom part of it is study and healing. The middle of it is for building, not bending spoons necessarily, but building. And the last part, the tippity top of the pyramid, is for energizing. Okay. Contact with indigo ray need not necessarily show itself in any certain gift or guidepost, as you have said. There are some whose indigo energy is that of pure being and never is manifested. Yet all are aware of such an entity's progress. Others may teach or share, in many ways, contact with intelligent energy. Others continue in unmanifested form, seeking an intelligent infinity. Ra is saying that there's not necessarily any guideposts on whether you're using your third eye chakra energy efficiently or well or at all, and the metal bending is not necessarily something that is showing that you're a greater adept at using that energy. And that some people never manifest something specific using that energy, and others use that energy to teach and share ways to make contact with intelligent energy, and others just continue seeking intelligent infinity. I just spent a little time, of course, which I edited out, looking to see, because I do have a glossary of terms in the back of the book, looking to see if they have definitions for intelligent energy and intelligent infinity, and there is not. So I'm just going to explain what I think that it means, and I don't know if it's completely accurate. So intelligent energy to me would mean any other conscious energy that exists in the universe, or, let's just say exists. It's like the intelligent bits and pieces of the source, which are spread out everywhere, all over the place. An intelligent infinity, to me, would mean that is the source itself, because it's infinite. That's the infinity part to me. But as we all and everything is a piece of the intelligent infinity, then we also are intelligent energy. That's what it means to me anyway. Okay. Thus, the manifestation is a lesser signpost than that which is sensed or intuited about a mind-body-spirit complex. This violet ray beingness is far more indicative of true self. So the bending of the metal is a lesser signpost. Instead, something that's greater would be what's sensed or intuitive, like through your intuition about someone else. And then it says, this violet ray beingness is far more indicative of true self. So the violet ray is your crown chakra, which according to Ra is kind of like a collection of all of your energetic chakras. And it can be read kind of like a book of where you are in your development and becoming crystallized, etc. I did have a question on what you meant by the third spiral. So Ra had just said that this was going to have to be the last question for the session. So Dawn's asking if that's too long of a question to ask for this contact. And Ra says, we may answer briefly. You may query in more detail if you deem it desirable at another session. If you picture the candle flame, you may see the third spiral. I don't know what Ra means by that. And I'm not sure if Dawn asks more about the third spiral. I can't remember if I've read anything else about that. So I'm not sure what he means, what Ra means by the candle flame being the third spiral. So this one's a little bit shorter than the last one. Let's go over what we learned about today. So Don's not a very good healer at this point. He was trying real hard, but it wasn't working very well. Ra gave him some more tips on using crystals as healing devices in the pendulum form. And then they talked a lot more about the pyramid shape. A lot about the pyramid shape and what that means. We learned that it works like a funnel, and the different sections of that funneling light do different things. And then we talked a lot about spoon bending, and we made fun of it. If anybody was offended by that, I'm so sorry. I just find it very entertaining. And that was pretty much it. It was a kind of shortish session. It was a shortish session this time around. Thank you for watching this next session of the Raw Contact Volume 2. If you enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. I keep fluctuating back and forth and back and forth. And it seems like I may never reach 200. If this is the first Raw video you've seen, don't forget this is Volume 2. So this is the third video for Volume 2. There is a whole set for Volume 1 if you're interested in watching those. Don't forget to comment and let's have a discussion about this information. I really do want these videos to be more like book club instead of just me reiterating information that you could read for yourself. That's one of the things that is great about these videos, is that we can have a discussion through the comments. I do want to let you know that in 10 days time, which today is February 15th, 2024, on February 25th, 2024, I will be offering a night with the Collective Raw. So if you go and watch, or you have watched, the Raw Volume 2 recap and intro video, you will see that one of the whole reasons why I do these videos is because we had the entity Raw come through in medium readings. And since then, I have been able to channel that collective consciousness many times, and I feel like we have a good rapport. And Ra seems to be happy with me that I'm doing these videos. So we are going to be having a channeled event on February 25th. The tickets are available through Eventbrite. I will post the link in the description box below if you're interested in purchasing a ticket. I'm sure that this won't be the only time I offer this event. So if you miss this one because you're watching it at some later date, keep an eye on my Eventbrite page for all of my classes and events. But if you're specifically interested in the Raw Collective, then I'm sure there will be others in the future. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.